Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parent Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today, entitled Mom Calls the Cops on Me for Picking Up Her Daughter, who is my girlfriend and an adult. After that, half the class fails the midterm after cheaters copy me. And after that, crappy boss will forever regret trying to bring the thunder. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen goes to jail. How dare you! So please smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. Entitled Mom Calls the Cops on Me for Picking Up Her Daughter, who is my girlfriend and an adult. This happened about 5 years ago. My fiance and I have been together 7 years this month. We were hoping to get married this year, but might postpone due to the circumstances. We were reminiscing some old stories yesterday when this one came up, and she suggested I share it. She was my girlfriend at the time, and at the time I was fully aware that her mom was a few fries short of a Happy Meal. But this was the pinnacle of her behavior. If you guys enjoy this story, I actually have a few more I shall share if you like. We've got entitled Mom, my future mother-in-law. We've got my girlfriend, Ellie. We've got the police officer, and we've got me. Ellie and I weren't living together at the time. She just stayed over from time to time when she could. I took her home after she had been staying with me a couple of days and was heading to work. But shortly after, just before getting to work, I get a phone call from her, and I can tell she is in tears. Apparently, when she got inside, entitled Mom immediately blew up on her about being gone for so long, even though it was only 2 days. And she told entitled Mom when she was going to be gone and kept in contact with her while she was. But Ellie just sort of brushed it off and went to her room. Entitled Mom's house was pretty much your stereotypical crazy cat lady house. House badly decaying, cats all over the place, going to the bathroom in random places and whatnot. And when Ellie gets to her room, she realizes while she was gone, the cats went to the bathroom all over a pile of her clean clothes. But whatever. Ellie decided to just bag them up and she would wash them next time she came to my place. Her mom didn't have a functioning washer at the time, and apparently that really set entitled Mom off. Entitled Mom apparently thought Ellie was bagging her clothes because she was planning to go back to my place that night to stay another few days. So she stomped into her room, grabbed the bag, ripped it open, and flung the clothes all over the room along with all of the cat doo-doo, while screaming at Ellie that she's not going anywhere. That's when Ellie ran outside and called me. She was so upset and didn't know what to do. Her mom had been doing crazy stuff to Ellie since I had been with her, but up until I just helped her however I could while not getting involved and not saying a word to her mom. I told her to go ahead and get the things she needs and I'll take her to my place. She said she would love that. I told my work I was going to be late due to an emergency and turned around to go pick her up. When I pulled back up to the house, Ellie was in the driveway crying. I went and hugged her, told her it was gonna be okay and that she could stay with me as long as she wanted. So she went back inside to get her things. As I was standing outside waiting, I heard the door open again and went to help Ellie with her things. Uh-oh, it's her mom. Entitled Mom comes stomping out with her hair crazy and frizzled and an old nightgown. She beelines for me and gets right in my face. Entitled Mom with an extremely thick, high-pitched southern accent. My daughter said I need to come out here and ask what you think of me. I knew that was a blatant lie, as Ellie would never instigate this. You got something to say, huh? You think I'm trash, don't you, huh? That's what you think, isn't it? Again, up until now, I had completely kept my mouth shut and was trying to maintain that. But this lady was up in my face, freaking out, and was tormenting the woman I loved. So I finally looked at her and broke my silence. Me. Why do you treat her like this? Entitled Mom. What do you mean? That's my daughter, and I worship the ground she walks on. Me. Oh, really? So calling her names is worship? Yes, I've heard her do this with my own ears. I would never say anything like that. Me, getting rather irate. BS, I've heard you say it. Entitled Mom explodes. Get your butt off my property. Okay, I almost never find myself in situations like this, so I'm not used to it. I say that because after she said this, I pretty much saw red. I'm not proud of it, but I just started shouting at her everything I could possibly think of at the top of my lungs while she went back in the house. But thankfully, that only lasted a few seconds and I immediately calmed down. So finally, Ellie comes back out with her stuff. We put it in the car and I assume it's over. But Ellie turns to me and says, "I'm sorry, but we can't leave yet." Me, "Why not?" "Mom called the cops." I sorta had a feeling that would happen. No big deal. So we just sat and waited for the cop to arrive. After about 10 minutes or so, a cop car pulls up. Right when he does, Entitled Mom comes out of the house, and oh my god. Yes, she was doing exactly what you think. She instantly puts on the fragile, brittle old lady act, hunched over, walking slowly, the whole gig. And of course, when police officer asks her what happened, she has to pitch her entire medical chart to the guy. Ellie will tell you this woman has been terminally ill for 12 years. So when she finally gets done trying to milk this poor guy for sympathy, she tells her version of what happened. "Sir, he came onto my property and verbally attacked me. He's awful to me, sir, and I've never even done anything to him. He's turned my daughter against me and is trying to convince her to leave." At first, he seemed somewhat sympathetic to her, until he turns to Ellie. "Officer, ma'am, this is your boyfriend?" Ellie, "Yes, sir." "Okay, and how old are you?" "Sir, I'm 23. This was my favorite part, because the officer looked up from his notepad with a look of, "Wait, what?" Obviously, he was thinking Ellie was a minor or something based off of how Entitled Mom was acting, but quickly realized just what he was dealing with. Eventually, he turns to me. "Okay, sir, please give me your version of what happened." I did so. Funny side note, at one point, officer looks up at me and says, "You look really familiar. Do I know you?" It actually turned out that the officer and I had gone to high school together. Once we recognized each other, we laughed and shook hands. This was hilarious, because out of the corner of my eye, I see Entitled Mom has a big scowl on her face as she sees me getting friendly with the officer. But anyway, officer puts his notepad away and turns to me. Just FYI, he says the following with this heavy tone of, "I know that you are fully aware of this and don't believe you are in the wrong at all, but I have to say this as a formality." Officer, "Well, OP, she doesn't want you on the property, so be aware that if you come back here, you technically can be charged with trespassing. Do you understand this as I've explained it?" Me, "Absolutely, sir." Entitled Mom, "But sir, I want to press charges." Officer, "He didn't do anything illegal, ma'am." "But he verbally assaulted me." I understand that, and while that was ill-advised, he slightly turns to me and gives me a small gesture with his hand, and I nod in agreement. It's not something I could arrest him for. He agrees he will not come back on your property without your direct permission. Okay, fine. Whatever. Ellie, come back inside. Ellie, "What? No." "You heard the officer. OP is leaving, and you're staying here." Officer, "Whoa, ma'am. I didn't say that at all." But... Your daughter is not a kid, ma'am. She is a full-grown adult. She has every right to do whatever she wants." "I'm her mother. She lives under my roof. I told her she needs to stay here, so she needs to stay." "No, ma'am. That's not how it works. If she wants to go stay with her boyfriend, there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop her." Entitled Mom starts the fake crocodile tears and stomps in the house in defeat. Ellie and I thanked the officer, got in the car, and left. We've been living together ever since. Believe it or not, Entitled Mom isn't really much of an entitled mom anymore. Over the years since that day, Entitled Mom has actually decided to make an effort to try and improve herself. I guess she realized that if she didn't make changes, she would lose her relationship with Ellie. So Entitled Mom started taking advantage of her medical coverage and went to see her psychiatrist and got medicine for mental illness she actually had, as opposed to the ones she would make up. Since then, well, she has actually gotten way better. She takes her medicine regularly and has a boyfriend that is an extremely kind man and treats Ellie as though she were his own daughter. So basically, Entitled Mom isn't really an entitled mom anymore. We actually get along very well, and we see them frequently, and we help each other out whenever we can. We actually look back on the early years when she was, in fact, an entitled mom and laugh. So not only is everybody getting along well, we can actually share the cringe stories and happily laugh about them. If you guys would like to hear some more, let me know. I think that's the most beautiful ending that I've ever seen in an Entitled Parent story. Pah! It was a horrible ending. But she stopped being a Karen. She started being nice to people and respectful. Exactly. It's a cold-hearted world, and the only way to survive in it is to be brutal. And demanding to speak to people's managers? Bingo. Half the class fails the midterm after cheaters copy me. I don't have a problem helping classmates. I really don't. I even tutored several classmates during my final semester of undergrad because they needed the help. They all ended up passing their classes with my assistance. This story comes from a particularly tough business information systems class during my undergraduate education. The students in this class were mostly non-technical business majors, so this new material wasn't at all similar to anything we had learned in other classes. Needless to say, most of the students were struggling, including me. I still had a 4.0 in college at this point, though I finished with a 3.99, and was willing to put in max effort to keep my stellar GPA. I started studying hard. I made my own Quizlet sets. I read the book every night. I finished assignments a week early, and I did outside research. After grinding it out in this class for about a month, I was working on an assignment in a room designated for quiet homework time, and that's where our story begins. Several other students from my class were there and working on the same assignment I was on. Judging by the size of exasperation, the irritated whispers, and requests for help, they weren't having much success. Having studied relentlessly for a month, I was having an easier time of it. As I got up to go get some water from the fountain in the hall, a classmate asked for my help. I told him I could do that and I'd be right back. I returned a few minutes later to find what I can only describe as a bunch of busy bees happily working away. This was strange since they were hopelessly stuck 2 minutes before, but whatever. My classmate tells me he figured it out without me. Now, I'm not an idiot, so I know the 5 people in this room probably copied my work off my computer when I went to get water. Scumbag move number 1. But as it turns out, no one in the class needed help the next day or the day after. Whoever in the study room had stolen my work had forwarded it to most of the class. Scumbag move number 2. I don't mind being helpful, but I hate being used, so I made a plan to get back at the people who had stolen my work. It didn't take long to organize my plan and carry it out. Here's how it went. 1. I changed an answer on the next assignment by multiplying by -1. 1,500 became -1,500 on this question. The next week, I left my computer in the same place as before and went to get water. Just like I had done the week before, 75% of the people in my class of 40 people put -1,500 as the answer to question 3, which was definitely incorrect. I began studying relentlessly for the midterm. Our professor had said he wouldn't adjust the weight of the test if everyone scored particularly well. This class was difficult, and no one was expecting anyone to score over 75%, so all my classmates figured the weight of the test would be adjusted. My plan was to wreck the curve, even though it's not a curve, and deny everyone the adjusted weight by producing a sufficiently high score. I recruited a classmate who hadn't stolen my work to study with. Together, we aimed to score high enough that our professor couldn't adjust the weight of the midterm. Here's how it all played out. No one who copied me realized the answer was incorrect. Every last one of those idiots submitted the wrong answer for question number 3. This next part surprised me, but my classmates began insisting the class was unfair, too difficult, or rigged, and launched these complaints at our professor. One day after class, I had the following exchange, since I was the last student out of the classroom. Professor: OP, do you think this class is too hard? Me: honestly, the class is hard, but if people spend as much time studying as they did complaining, they'd be fine. They really need to just get to work. Professor: I thought the same. Me: deciding spur of the moment my next move. I also happen to know that most of the class incorrectly copied my work on the last assignment. Question 3 should have a net income of 1,500, not a net loss of 1,500. I put down the wrong answer initially. Everyone copied me, and then I changed the answer later. I think you can reasonably conclude that anyone with -1,500 as the answer cheated off of my incorrect work. Professor: I figured they all copied, but I didn't know you were the source. Anyway, thanks for your candor and your dedication to the class. I didn't cheat, so I don't know what happened to those who did, but depending on the class, they would either get a 0 for the assignment or a plagiarism citation, so they got one of those. Fast forward to the test day and I'm ready to go. I know since most of the students are business majors, they need 70% to pass the class because it's a required course. Hurting them on the midterm will go a long way in helping drop their grades. I take the test, I'm the first one done, and I leave pretty sure I've done enough to deny the class the exam weight adjustment. A week later, we get our exams back. Tests are distributed all around me with scores on the top in red ink: 68, 71, 70, 66, 75, 67, and these are the smart students. Someone on the end of my row takes a test from our professor and lets out a sigh as he begins passing a test down my row. It stops on my desk. 93%. I've won. Some idiot in the front of the class. So, is there going to be a curve? Professor. Nope. Me. What was the high score? Professor. 93. Average score for the exam was 71, so a good number of people didn't get a passing score. Maybe they made up for it on the final and passed, but I don't care. I got mine. Well, just goes to show you, cheating won't get you anywhere.
I can't believe all of those stupid students cheating on a test like that. My angel would never do such a thing.
I don't know, Karen. You sure about that?
How dare you!
Crappy boss will forever regret trying to bring the thunder. Backstory. I started working in care of the elderly before I graduated school at age 17 as a temp worker, and after I graduated, I basically worked full-time for several years, finally got steady employment at age 23. I take pride in my job, and even though I didn't study medical stuff, I've always made sure I know everything I need to know to do a good job, with online classes, certificates, reading up on medications, treatment recommendations, etc. Everything was going well, despite me having 4 different bosses in the first 5 years of work. No one wants to be the boss here. Economically speaking, it's a sinking ship, since it's government-run and dependent on tax money. Then, friendly boss, Lena, joins the story. She asked me to move over to a new department the state was now, by law, obligated to provide: short-term care. She had previously run the emergency care unit at the local hospital, and she didn't take crap from anyone. She let us workers build up and run the department because, as any good boss should, she realized that we knew better what we were doing because we were doing it day to day and what worked best for us, as long as we stuck within the laws, regulations, staff requirements, and budget, of course. Everything was amazing for almost 2 years. Every month, I did the schedules for all 15 of us workers. I did daily planning for all patients. I was in charge of all documentation and all new guidelines and protocols being implemented, since the care provided was brand new in our area. Then the day of the great sadness came when Lena declared that she was leaving, since she had been offered a job as the head chief of the local hospital. All of us were devastated to see her go, but I mean, good for her. That's when super jerk, Kaja, enters our story. She was already the boss of all the normal elderly care units where I'd worked before. I'd already moved on to short-term care before she was hired as boss, and we had heard exclusively bad things about her. We heard she would always do what she thought was the right thing to do, which was almost exclusively wrong because she was underqualified, had no experience from the actual work, and was just a jerk in general. Our first staff meeting, she told us,
Either you're with me or against me,
and the people who are against me,
I drown in the local lake.
Okay, great start. I then tried to explain to her that with our previous boss, we had worked with trust, since Lena had an understanding that us workers actually knew what works best in our own department, and Kaja instantly shut it down.
No, I'm the boss. I set the protocols. I decide how my departments run.
Me. Yeah, of course, but I'm just saying we've been working like—
No, I'm the boss. I'm in charge.
And so it began. Kaja started changing the schedules, the protocols, the staff requirements, the daily rehab schedule, the food schedule, not joking by the way, and she lowered the required medical competence to work at our unit. This means there were people working with us who had no prior experience in the job, had no prior experience in the field, barely spoke the language, etc. Keep in mind, we had dementia evaluation, palliative care, stroke rehabilitation, and so on. Katja started to try to micromanage everything we did. Literally everything. She canceled all the activities we did for the whole business, like pub nights for the elderly, movie nights, summer cafe outdoors, walks, store visits, everything, all without cost to the business. She stated that we're no longer allowed to finish the schedules on our own and gave us 2 weeks less to finish them, which means we now have 1 week to input the schedule, try to settle it between us 15 people, and then hand it to her. She'd finish it and hand it to us the day before it went into effect, and 8 out of 10 shifts weren't covered. Or we were 6 people working the same weekend, supposed to be 3. So I told Katja that I've been managing the schedule for years and was happy to keep doing it, and that she'd still have it 2 weeks early. No. I told her that our activities were 100% within paid hours and no strain on the day-to-day normal business, and we want to keep doing them. No. I told her that we'd prefer to keep doing things as we'd been doing them for years because it worked very well. No. Obviously, I was upset. So were my coworkers, but they never spoke up. That was my job, I guess. There were a lot of incidents that I'm not going to bother bringing up, but just imagine that anything we ever wanted to do for our patients or the people in the dementia units or for the well-being of any of the staff was just no. One thing that had been consistent since I started working there when I was 17, 27 at this point in the story, is that when you apply for vacation or any kind of leave, you input the leave request, and then you request a temp to cover your shift, and then you inform your boss that you've done both things. Always been like that. Always. So I did. I requested a day's leave. My mom had a doctor's thing in a town a few hours from here. I input the temp request, and then I walked to the boss's office and informed her. She loses it. Maybe because Katja's boss was there. I don't know, but she starts yelling, telling me that I'm not allowed to request temps. That's her job. I stand there and take it like a good employee and just say, okay, won't happen again. Big surprise for her when the next staff meeting comes around. There suddenly weren't any staff on the actual ward, and a local politician was sat waiting with her mother, who was being committed to my ward that day, for over 2 hours. I wonder who made sure they were arriving at that time on that day. I told my boss's boss exactly why there weren't any temps scheduled for the meeting. Katja got fired. Will make me smile for the rest of my life. That boss sounded like a real piece of work.
I thought you sounded amazing. That's exactly how you treat your employees. Never let them start thinking they're smart or know how to get things done. It goes right to their heads.
To their heads, huh? Sure wouldn't want that to happen.
I just hope that poor boss found another job once they fired her.
I hope she found some help dealing with her problems. Sounded like she had a lot going on.
Shut up, Mr. Reddit.
Can I at least get your number? Sure thing. So this didn't happen to me, it happened to my coworker, but I was at the register right next to her when it happened. Cast, we've got my friend, my coworker, we've got the old man, and we've got me. This happened a few years ago when I was 17 and my friend was 18. We worked at a grocery store that had 4 registers set up in groups of 2. So me and my friend were the ones on 2 of the registers, meaning we shared the same behind the counter space. We both have customers in line and are checking them out. I can hear everything going on as we are literally 2 feet away from each other. Enter Old Man. Old Man looked a lot older than us, so he's obviously too old to be hitting on an 18-year-old, but that's exactly what he does. Paraphrasing because it's been a few years, but you get the gist. Old Man. Hey there, beautiful. Friend in customer service voice. Hello, how are you today? Old Man.
Better, now that I get to see someone as gorgeous as you.
Friend. That's nice. Did you find everything okay?
Oh, yes. Yes, I did.
Winks. At this point, I'm only half paying attention to the person I'm checking out and focusing on the conversation happening behind me because, gag. Old Man.
Can I take you out on a date?
Friend. No, thank you. Your total is...
Come on, please. I'll take you out somewhere nice. You can get all dressed up and fancy.
Friend. No, I am not interested. Here's your receipt.
Can I at least get your phone number, gorgeous?
Friend. Sure thing. She proceeds to grab one of our store's business cards that obviously has the store phone number on it, hands it to him and says, "Here you go. Have a nice day." Old Man is angry and grabs his groceries and storms out. I turned and asked my friend if she was okay and everything, and she was a little shaken up, but told me that she was glad she got to mess with him. Not sure how many other customers heard the interaction, but we just laughed about it and went back to our work. Hey Karen, have you ever had to deal with something like this? Some creepy old guy trying to get your number from you?
No. For some reason, people don't really talk to me unless I'm the one to initiate the conversation.
Gee, I wonder why. 1 cent obviously makes a huge difference. Back in high school, I worked for a fast food place. Not to name names, but I worked for the US East Coast equivalent of the place that had a smiley yellow star as the logo. At the time I was there, we had a deal on this apple pie turnover thing. We always just called them pies. Regular price for one was 99 cents, and the deal was 2 for $1. Someone way above my pay grade in the company made a rule that we were to automatically do the deal whenever someone ordered pies and then gush to the customer that they essentially got 1 free pie. Cue the Karen. I had just finished the lunch rush and was taking care of the last few stragglers when she came up. All she ordered was a pie. Per the rule, I rang up the deal. As soon as the little price screen flashed, 2 apple, $1, she lost her mind. Karen.
Excuse me? I said a pie.
Me. Well, ma'am, we have a deal where you get 2 for $1. And since
No. I said 1. You are trying to steal from me.
Me. Not at all, ma'am. The pies are regularly priced at 99 cents, and the deal is $1, so you get a pie for free.
Heck no. You just said they're 99 cents. You're trying to steal from me. Some people don't have a penny more to spend, and you are trying to rip them off.
Me. But ma'am, after tax,
You are a liar and a thief. Where is your manager?
I begrudgingly get manager, and Karen starts screaming about how I'm trying to force her to pay more for things she never asked for, and how I was likely going to try to pocket the difference / steal from the company. Manager. Well, it says here you're getting 2 pies, and after tax, that's $105. Karen.
Well, I only want 1 pie, and she's trying to overcharge me. I want this fixed now.
Manager. I twitch. Trash Goblin, please ring the customer up for 1 pie only. I do so, and the price after tax comes out to $105. Karen insists that we're still wrong, and manager ends up telling her to buy the pie or leave. Karen tries to demand the 2 pie deal, and manager sticks to, well, you demanded me up here insisting you only want 1, so either pay or leave. A perfect example of what happens when Karen makes a big deal out of nothing.
Oh, buzz off, Mr. Reddit. She ordered 1 pie, and the stupid worker tried to give her 2.
For the exact same price after tax.
Oh, it's the principle of the matter. You wouldn't understand. You don't understand anything about me.
I sure don't, Karen, and I'm hoping to keep it that way. I did exactly what my floor manager wanted me to. So a little bit of backstory. A while back, I was in a wheelchair. My legs were so painful, I wasn't able to stand on them, and I had pain attacks at night, which would last for hours on end. Doctors couldn't figure out what the heck was wrong with me until I got even sicker. I started not being able to hold in food, only liquids. When I went to a specialist and did a blood test, it turned out I had a gluten intolerance, celiac disease. When I stopped eating gluten, I was able to walk within a few months. Turned out I have another disease affiliated with celiac disease called gluten neuropathy. It means that when I ingest gluten, my nerves are affected. To this day, when I eat gluten, the pain returns and I have a really hard time walking. Now, I work at a company as a help desk employee. I help people having technical issues with their internet, so to say. Due to what's been going on, we work at home every other week. Last week was a week I was supposed to work at the office. So I've told everyone who needed to know about my affliction. I also told them about my trouble walking when I ingested something I shouldn't have. So last week I ate something containing gluten. I cannot for the life of me figure out what it was, but it was clear as day. The night before I had to go to work, I went to bed with a lot of pain, and I knew it would get worse the following day. I told my partner I would ask to stay home if I had a lot of trouble walking. The next day came around, and it happened like I thought it would. I was in so much pain, I needed my walking stick to get around. So around 8 a.m., I called my floor manager and told him, and asked if I could work at home. He told me a lot of people wanted to work at home for the most stupid reasons and told me I should come to the office. So I did. Instead of calling in sick, I mustered up all my strength, took some heavy pain meds with me, and started my journey to the office. Now, normally it takes me about a half an hour, but because I had a harder time walking than my gran, it took me more than an hour. I arrived at the office 15 minutes late and ran into the floor manager when I was taking my things out of my locker. At this point, I should tell you how I looked at that time. White as a sheet, hair in a messy bun, shaking from pain, and leaning heavily on my walking stick. The pain was so bad, I was wincing and almost couldn't stand. My floor manager was floored. He took one look at me and his mouth fell open wide. He muttered something about not knowing it would be this bad and talking about my other colleagues and how they asked to work at home for small things, how he had to treat everyone equally, etc. I worked a full day, colleagues watching over me, getting me everything I needed and taking awesome care of me. I heard one of them say how ashamed my floor manager was about making me come to work and how his response was everything I'd hoped for. Needless to say, he told me whenever this would happen again, I would have no trouble calling in to work at home. Hey Karen, can you do us the honors of welcoming our new channel member?
Do I have to?
Sure do.
Fine. Huge shout out to Karen, our newest official channel member. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I don't know if they're trying to be funny by using my name, but I'm not amused at all.
And become a channel member today, and we'll give you a special shout out in our next video. Alrighty Karen, you ready to go make some more videos for Fiverr?
I hate doing those.
Actually, go ahead and tell the fine folks at home what you can do for them, Karen.
Come to our Fiverr page, and I'll make a special video for you, reading whatever kind of message you want me to. I can wish someone a happy birthday, tell someone to leave you alone, and just yesterday I made one, telling somebody that they have to be good this year, or Santa will not bring them anything for Christmas.
Oh, sounds like you might have enjoyed making that one, Karen.
I actually did. It was a lot of fun.
If you'd like Karen to make a special video for you, come visit us on Fiverr, link pinned in the comments below. And shoutouts to our regenerals of the day, Philippe, Bob Doobie, and King Juggernaut.